All right, so Johnasson here, founder and CEO of UIDCon. I have the pleasure of being here at my mentor's house, Keith Cooley. I asked him to take a little bit of time out of his day to sit down and chat with me about how you always, or at least for the most of the time, stay productive in, in all the work that you do. And so I thought it was really good to not only try to be productive in understanding yourself, but you also got to have mentors to understand how to leverage their knowledge so you can be even more productive. And that's where I thought that this conversation will be very useful. So without further ado, Keith Cooley is a brief introduction, right? Besides being my mentor,
No problem.
he's CEO of Principia, which is a management advisory firm.
Yeah, management advisory, management consulting.
Yeah,
around the clean economy, clean energy, and workforce development.
okay.
So that's the quick version.
And one thing that I don't know if I've mentioned, but you know, I guess I would try to say I'm a very organized kind of guy, very strategic kind of guy.
You
so
are.
I kind of like just pulled that right from you. So it kind of worked out really well, right? I try really hard to pick my mentors as best as possible.
You've done very well at that.
And so, you know, you have an awesome book collection. And one of the quick notes that I had wanted to see if we can have a good conversation on just what is, you know, one good tip of a way that you just stay productive. Anything as it relates to a book or a mobile app or something that, you know, that you just use on a daily basis that really just keeps you going.
I think there's a couple things. I got a couple of tips that keep me going for productivity.
Yeah.
And just hints on success. But I think one of the most important things for me is to try to stay in tune with issues, with ideas that will drive innovation. You remember we talked from time to time about books. One of the books that I had for this little get-together is called The Medici Effect. I think we've talked about it. This idea that if you can bring people from different parts of life, different parts of your life, from different cultures, from different persuasions, from different points of belief, that oftentimes discussions between folks like that will bring forward solutions to problems that you never would have thought of if you're just working with people that are just like you. So the idea there for me is if you want to innovate, try to cast a net around folks that you get to know and talk with and interact with that is as wide as it can possibly be. Don't push anybody out at all. Even people you don't like sometimes, it's okay.
Yeah.
Let them be a part of that discussion because they oftentimes bring you things you don't know.
And what's interesting about that, I've heard of, like one of my online mentors calls it the edge effect. So he said, like if you're a person that likes to go and hunt, right, and you want to go and hunt, let's say deer for an example, you don't necessarily go to the middle of the woods to try to hunt deer because they don't all, you know, stay in the middle of the woods. They normally go to a place where you have a lot of different areas come together, and that's kind of like the primary spot where, you know, I will say the body of water meets the area of grass, and where the deer needs to go and grab a drink from time to time. So it's kind of like all these different entities coming together.
Excellent.
And at that point is where you really want to try to focus your attention to wait, and that becomes like the sweet spot. And you know, so it's kind of like what you're saying. You're leveraging the different perspectives because they're not all honed in on what you're trying to do, but they can understand it from a different perspective and say, hey, maybe you should try something like this.
Exactly. You got it exactly.
Nice.
The other thing that I think is important, and again we've talked about it, is this idea that every once in a while you need to sort of do an introspective look at who you are, what you think you want to do, where you want to go, etc. That idea about repacking your bags,
Yes.
that oftentimes as humans, I know it happens to me a lot. Over the years, I look at things that I have, that I've either done or I'm holding on to or trying to figure out, and some of the stuff no longer fits. So there's an opportunity from time to time to go in and just sort of push things away that don't fit with your life at the time. That also helps with being productive because sometimes, I don't know about you, but I get caught up doing things that sometimes don't make any sense anymore. You know, could be doing something that doesn't really help your life today.
And you know, that makes sense where something recently that I'm trying to do again is, and I've learned it from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, is within that book is if you create a plan, as an example, right? and let's say you got 10 plans that you're working on, and then your boss comes to you and say, hey, I have something urgent, can you work on this? And he said what was effective is, he said the first thing he did was he pulled out the little plan where he writes down all the different plans on, and he said, all right, well, I have 10 plans here. Which one of these do you want me to move out of the way so I can be effective at the one you want me to do now? And so it's just
manage
like
your boss.
Yeah. You know, you kind of take a reassessment of what you got going on already, and the things that are working for you keep those, and the ones that aren't, you kind of delegate it a little bit to the later end, or maybe even not worry about it anymore, because it's not really serving its purpose anymore.
Exactly.
So that makes very much sense in trying to understand not only how do I keep things in proper perspective at the current time and what we're planning on doing in the future with my life and with in the workplace. So what are you trying to build for your career, and how do you help the companies that you're working for? Those are kind of like the secrets of how you operate. And the book, I'm kind of one other thing is the book that Keith had mentioned. I'm gonna try. I'm not too sure if I have that in my collection, so I'm gonna pick it up and then put it in my
bought 3 or 4 copies. I give them away, and they never get given. They're never returned, so I don't have one here.
That's fine. I'll go and pick that a copy up. And I'm always a person that likes, as you know, a person that likes hard copies, because hard copies you can always write down some notes in it and you can come back to it. And the fascinating thing is you don't have to read through the entire book. You pick up the nuggets of the book.
Yes.
And that's kind of the best way of learning from a book, where you don't need to spend 2-3 weeks a month trying to read the entire book. They're all filled with stories, and then the plot, or I would say the golden nugget.
The golden nugget.
Yeah, the nugget, the piece of information you're looking for.
Yeah.
Story, then the nugget. So
I like that.
We're going to sit here and we're going to talk a little bit more in detail. That part you probably won't be able to be a part of. But what I will do is I'll try to write down some notes and give that information to you guys. And just try to understand that not only are you going to be productive in self-awareness, but you also got to leverage your ability to gather yourself around mentors and use the knowledge that they have, such that can make you even far more productive and effective in whatever you're trying to do. Just trying to think you're going to be able to work your way through everything doesn't work like that.
Could I make one more comment just to
in
all of this? One of the things I try to keep in mind, and I push on to other folks too, is an idea that I learned years ago, and it comes out as a quote. The art of being wise is knowing what to overlook. And that has to do with the idea that every day we have the opportunity to be pulled into something. Someone says something, we don't like it, we want to say, we want to speak back. Someone says something and we like it, and we want to keep that conversation going. And this idea of the art of being wise is knowing what to overlook is sometimes, even if someone says something that you feel strongly about, sometimes it's just worth your while to let it go. Whether you feel positive or negative about it, let it go. You've got other things to do. Someone else put it, they put it this way: you don't always have to accept an invitation to controversy.
Yeah.
Someone will say something, and that's that's an invitation for me to go tell them, give them a piece of my mind. No, you don't. You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
You got work to do. You're doing things over here.
Yeah.
So that's part of my inner, the thing I think that drives inner peace, over and above things like exercise and being in present moment, is the idea that I don't have to react or respond to things all the time. And certainly with government the way it is today, you could spend all your time reacting to what goes on. So I pushed it. That was just that.
And to kind of follow up, that is again with the 7 habits of highly effective people, just keeping first things first. If that doesn't align with what you're trying to do at that current moment or in the future, it's like, do I really need to reply to this right now?
Yeah.
And if I do, what am I losing by replying on this. If it takes me 30 minutes to sit here and reply back to this person or this company because they, you know, didn't rub me the right way or I didn't rub them the right way, and you know this thing goes out to an hour, 30 minutes, or whatever the case may be, man, I lost that time in where I could have applied it to something that I really needed to do right there. So yeah, and that's see, you know, that's a secret right there, guys. You know, he was supposed to give that to me off the record for you guys, so I can write it down and send it to you. But that's okay. You know,
I have other stuff.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Plenty of other things, but you know, it's really good to not only get a chance to sit down and chat with you once again. We're going to continue to do this because I'm always going to keep asking you more and more questions. Hopefully, my questions become more focused. The older I get, the more I continue to stay as focused as I can on the things that you know taught me over the years.
They're good questions.
And and just continue to move that route. So again, guys, take a look at this this video. Comment below. Maybe on YouTube, and as I always I mention at the end of my videos, with their approval. So as long as it's his approval, right? No I'll put it there so you guys can view it, and then if there's anything that you would like for me to specifically ask him, you know, I can turn it back around and ask him, and then he'll let me know. Sure. So guys, thank you, and we'll talk soon.